Hi, I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Courtney, and this is Caffeinated Crimes. And I feel like every week we're like, we have nothing to talk about. What are we going to talk about? And then my brain went, I'll help you.
I'll give you
I'll help
something to
you.
talk about.
I'm going to give you some trauma and something to talk about in the opening of your podcast.
Yes, that was really our intention all along, just to give you guys good content.
I did it for the gram. Did it for the views. I will say our listens are up a little bit, even with releasing every other
Oh,
week, a little bit. I thought this would be, our breakout moment. Where's my like CNN article, breaking
right.
story, podcast host has brain tumor.
I'll write that one. I'll put it out there.
Make a fake article. But yeah, so if you guys saw on social media,
Also, imagine if someone is listening to this and did not see it on social media, and they're like, "What do you mean you have a brain
that's
tumor,
true. That
Courtney?"
is so true. Maybe I shouldn't
Spoiler
scare
alert.
people. Yeah, so basically kind of long story short, I ended up randomly having a seizure. Never had a seizure before. Um, they took me to the hospital and they did a CT scan. I'm in the hallway at the ER on the
Hmm.
stretcher in my sleep shirt, underwear, and nothing else. Barefoot, no pants,
Hmm.
no bra, no contacts, no teeth brush, nothing
And
like I
and
was in
only
bed.
only wearing underwear thanks to your husband who put them on you.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Thank goodness for that, or it would have been bare butt in there.
Yes.
And then just in the hallway of the ER, the doctor comes up and goes, "Hey, you have a mass on your brain. I'll let neurology talk to you and answer any questions," and walked away. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but while that part was extremely shitty, we keep getting good news.
Hmm.
They did admit me to the hospital and said they did need to do surgery, so I had to stay there until they did the surgery. The surgery went well. They removed it all, and I actually got the news today. It is a grade one meningioma. It is benign.
Hmm.
So they're pretty confident they got it all. Have to do like one more CT scan just to make sure
Hmm.
everything's good. But I had brain surgery and I survived. And I
Yes.
went home and I'm recovering, and here I am recording a podcast.
What a life. What a life. I mean,
Your world can literally turn upside down in 24 hours.
yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's been a whirlwind, and I said I'm not going to cry on this podcast.
I did not even say that because I know myself.
But yeah, I've just had like such a great like outpouring of love too, which has just been really heartwarming. Like we've had people bringing us food like almost every single day,
Hmm.
and people donating, people I've not talked to since like high school who
Yeah.
like I don't talk to anymore, who just like sent money and sent kind words and kind thoughts, and everyone's just been so awesome. My work, Kevin's work, I said I got to have my funeral moment, but I got to live,
That's a good
like you
point.
kind of
Yeah.
get to see like what people say about you like
That is very
at your
true.
funeral, but I get to like keep living. So,
Hmm.
hopefully. No, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding.
Courtney, we're not putting this shit out there anymore, remember?
Yeah, because so the day before my seizure, I'd actually come home from a work trip. Thank
Which is
God I had come
terrifying.
home. Yes, I had been alone in a hotel room and then drove
Yes.
almost 3 hours home the day before. So very scary. I had a really horrible migraine. I was supposed to go hang out with my friends. I texted them. I was like, guys, I cannot make it. Like, I'm struggling. And like, nothing was like helping it.
Hmm.
And I texted them and was like, this one is so bad. I would try a lobotomy at this point. And then the next day,
Yep.
on me and my husband's anniversary, did I mention that part? Our third wedding anniversary.
Yes.
That's was my gift to my husband, scaring the shit out of him.
But like I
So
said, I mean, if you wanted something to prove his love for you, I mean, this was a way to do it, you
let me
know?
tell you, like I knew that man loved me and I knew I loved that man, but after this,
Hmm.
like, damn, that man, he still gets on my nerves a little bit, but that man can do no wrong. And also, like, his reaction to people being like, wow, you're being so great, where he's just like, this is the bare minimum. Like, this
Yeah,
is
he's
what
like,
you
what do you
do.
mean? Like, this is my
Like,
wife.
what do you
Like,
mean? Like, of course I'm staying every single night at the hospital. Of
yeah.
course, when she's in the ICU and I can't stay overnight, I will be there from visiting hours to the end, full
Hmm.
day, not
Yeah.
leaving. Even when I told him, I was like, people are here. Go
Hmm.
home if you want, take a shower in our shower, see the cats. He was like, no, I'm not
Hmm.
leaving the premises. So, yeah, and he's had to help me do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Do a lot of things. Um, but yeah, yeah,
It's been
it's wild.
quite the couple of weeks. Only what, 3 weeks at this point since the very beginning, which is just
Yeah,
so wild to
three
wrap your brain
weeks.
around.
Yeah, since the seizure, we're today is exactly 2 weeks from the surgery.
Which she had on April Fool's Day, by the way. So I was like, Courtney, this is a very elaborate April Fool's joke.
I know. And then, so basically, it was like right frontal. So they were like, it's not your fine motor skills, but like that is where your memory is. And so I was terrified I was gonna forget things. Um, and so it's like when I woke up, I was like, remember this, remember this, remember this, remember this, remember this, like looking around. And then like they would talk, and I'd be like, that's a cruel April Fool's joke. Like I was literally like trying so hard. I was like, you have to be witty, you have to be like,
Like,
I
you
don't know.
know
I was
where
like
you are,
trying
you know who you are, you got
so
this.
hard. Oh, that's another funny part of it too, is after the first seizure, like Kevin thought I was aware. I was
Hmm.
not. I don't have any memory in this house, like from the seizures. But the EMTs were like, who's the president? And apparently I just stared at them. And then they said, how many quarters does it take to make $1.50? And I just like looked at my hands. And then my mom is like, you knew something was wrong if she didn't know who the president was. She
Right.
hates that man.
You're like,
They're
if that
probably
doesn't
looking at
trigger a
the
memory, nothing will.
the EMTs are looking at the abortion access sign in my window, being like, this bitch knows who the president is. Like,
Which also,
yeah.
when I walked in to see Courtney, like hours after her surgery, she's like, "Who are you?" Just kidding. Like, thank you for that. Thank you so much, Courtney. You're so
Yeah,
funny.
and because like we were joking because my brother and sister, future sister-in-law, but I just call her sister-in-law now. She's
Yeah.
she's been family. She's they once they heard basically came down and like stayed the
Hmm.
whole until I got home. And when my brother-in-law walked in, because we were joking, they were like, "What if you wake up a Republican?" Or like, "What if you wake up like MAGA?" And so like when he came in, I went, "Let's go, Brandon." When I saw him, because I was like, I have to like joke with everybody and like, because I know everyone like walking in was probably like scared because
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know what I'm about to walk in
Yeah,
on. Like, what does
definitely.
she look like? So I was trying to be funny. I tried to do it with my mom and Kevin. I was just so overwhelmed with emotion finally seeing people I knew that I was like,
Yeah.
I can't
Nope.
joke.
You're like, I just need a moment to.
Because apparently I have bad veins. So the before the surgery was extremely traumatizing, and I'm very
Yeah,
upset I didn't get like a little Xanny or something
they should have.
before because you girl was freaking out. And the nurses knew it because they started talking my ear off because I was freaking out.
Yeah.
But it's kind of scary. People diddling in your brain.
Yeah, just a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Like when you're like, yeah, I have a little bit of a headache, and we're like, I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to be a warrior. And I was like, I just need something to take the edge off. And I'm like, no, there's an ice pick in my brain, is what it feels
You're like,
like.
no, I actually need real pain medication. Thank
I
you.
need real payment. Please, please give me the big drugs. But
So in other news, no, I'm kidding. I have nothing going on in my life other than that.
yeah, it's yeah, I kind of made this month about me so far. Sorry, everybody.
It's all right. Like your dad said, you're out of the rotation for emergencies for a
Yep.
while, so you just need to sit your ass down and
Hmm.
and know your place because you're out of the rotation, so nothing
Yeah.
else can happen to you now.
I just think it's like so scary because you, mom said people don't do this. It's just me. But I'm like, you joke all the time, like when you have a headache and you're like, am I dehydrated? Is my ponytail too tight? Do I have a brain tumor? I joked about that, literally having a brain tumor.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about, on this podcast when we're like, oh my God, sorry, my brain is just mush today. And I was like, oh, Courtney, you literally had a brain tumor when we said that.
And I used to joke at work with people. I was like, I have a squirrel brain. Like it jumps around. And then I was like, an acorn left, a squirrel left an acorn in there. Like, oh, yeah, it is just wild.
Yeah.
It feels like not real, but
Yeah.
also like very real, obviously, at the same time. Like, I don't know.
I think it's good that we're having this conversation. I don't want to say at the end because obviously you still have a lot of recovery ahead of you, but like the news is past, the
hmm
surgery is past, the pathology is past, like all of the things it's like, okay, now it's just moving forward. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like there's
It's like
still
the worst of it is over.
exactly. Yes. Yes. So
Yeah,
it's
because it was rough there for a bit. Like when
yeah.
I first came home, I mean, I had surgery on Tuesday and they sent me
Hmm.
home on Thursday. And I was telling the girl who did because brain surgery wasn't stopping me from getting my wax. And I was like telling like my wax girl that and she was like, "I know women who've had like babies who were in the hospital longer than
Right?
that." And she's
Yeah.
like, "Not that like that's not whatever, but like you had brain surgery
And they're
and
just
you
like,
went home quicker than like
you're fine.
some women do after birth."
Yeah.
Like I was so scared to go to sleep that first night. I was like,
Yeah.
what if I roll out of bed? What if something happens? Like I've been
Hmm.
connected to all these like monitors that have been watching me, and now it's
Yeah.
just me and Kev. Like, what
And
if
I'm sure
something
Kevin was
happens?
very stressed too, of like, okay, like
hmm
now it's just on me again to, and of course,
Yeah.
everything Kevin went through with
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Getting sweaty talking about it. Hold on, I gotta take my jacket off. Getting
You
sweaty.
get a little anxious. You need
A little anxious.
to.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, he still sometimes is like, "Are you okay?" Like
Yeah, a
it's yeah. So hopefully the worst is past, but gonna need some therapy.
little bit, a little bit.
A little bit of therapy. Because I
Hmm.
kept going, I'm just feeling my emotions as they come. No, that bitch was lying.
Like, no, she wasn't. She was pushing
No,
those
she wasn't.
down.
She was pushing it down.
They all come back eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just it's like the why me? Like you start feeling sorry for
Hmm.
yourself. You're like, why me? Why
Yeah.
this? Like you see people walking and you're like, you are so lucky, like whatever.
Hmm.
And then I start gaslighting myself and I'm like, how dare you say that? Look how lucky you are. It was benign and you had a great surgeon and everything worked out well. Like, how can you not be grateful? And then
Hmm.
it's like the angel and devil on my shoulders, like
And you
fucking with my
can
head.
absolutely feel both of those. I mean, both of
Yeah.
those are very valid emotions to have, you know?
Yeah. Because I think I was like telling Kevin, I was like, I try so hard to like be a good person. Like, I'm not always a good
Hmm.
person. No one's always a good person. But, like, I try hard to like put good in the universe. Like, I try to like be kind to people. I try to do things for people. So it was like,
Hmm.
how are the Donald Trump and Elon Musks of the world not having brain tumors?
Right?
Like, how are
They're
the
just out
actual
there
shitty
fine.
people, like
Yeah.
genuinely like evil, shitty people,
Because it never
fine?
works that way. Like,
Yeah, but I'm okay, and I'll be okay. And we still podcast didn't miss a beat.
I know we
Thank
just
God,
jumped
thank
right
God
back
for
in.
pre-recording.
I'm glad you did that two-parter, not knowing that you were gonna
I
have a
know.
brain tumor and brain surgery in between the two parts coming out.
I was preparing for something apparently.
Something told you, maybe we should just get a little bit ahead right now.
Yeah. Wild. Well, I haven't cried, so I should probably stop talking about it. Jacqueline, is there anything you want to say? Any
Nope,
comments?
I was just waiting for you to be ready to go because I was not going to cut you off. So I was just sitting here, listening, absorbing, just wait until you had shared
Hearing
everything
all
that
my
you wanted to
stories.
share.
Yeah. Yeah, so but thank you everyone for like your kind messages and sweet messages. It was really nice to see that. So, but I'm back. You can't keep me down. Can't keep me away. I'm
And we
too
love this
obsessed.
podcast very much, and we're excited to be back in our normal routine.
And I don't think we've announced this on the podcast, but we're coming to CrimeCon in
Yes,
September, and
we
I got the
are.
clearance that I can go as long as I don't fly the plane.
And I was like, well, damn it, there go my plans. So yeah,
Yeah. So come see us at CrimeCon in Denver, September, that first weekend in September. It's like 4th, 5th,
yeah.
6th,
The
7th, something
weekend
like that.
after Labor Day. Yeah, I think Labor Day is
Yeah.
like the like end of August, early September, like that very first Monday is Labor Day, and then it's like the
Yeah, because
week after.
I think the first is like on a Monday. September
Yeah,
1st is a Monday, so I think
I
that's
think
Labor Day.
so. Yeah.
Which why does CrimeCon keep doing that where they like plan it right after the 3-day weekends? Because
Yeah,
they
I
did
don't
that with
know.
it was Memorial Day,
Yeah.
but it was the weekend after Memorial Day.
Also, why is CrimeCon? I don't understand their schedule because the first one we went to was in
September.
September and then
And then it was
June and then
May. Yeah.
September,
So
May,
yeah, it was
June.
like
Yeah. I don't know
a
why they're,
weird
yeah,
whatever.
gap.
But I know they're having the CrimeCon UK in June.
Hmm.
So maybe,
Maybe that could, yeah, maybe that has something to do with
but I
it.
don't know why. It doesn't make much sense, but
No.
I'm
Anyway,
not an event organizer, so
we just show up and have a good time
yeah.
and let us know if you are too, so we can
Yeah.
join and hang out.
Who knows what my hair will look like by then?
I think it's beautiful.
Do I look what did my friend Kelly say? I look like the female lead in an apocalyptic film. So,
Yeah,
which is she said pretty
accurate.
fitting for the state of the world.
Yes, very true.
So,
Very true. You just wanted to portray the vibes that we're all feeling.
yeah, I responded and I was like, I survived I survived brain surgery and I'm taking down Donald Trump.
I'm ready for this movie. Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. But all right, now that we talked about sad but positive stuff, now we can talk about just sad stuff. So yeah, we'll just get into the sad stuff now. So
Yeah, sorry.
apologies, but you knew what you were getting into when you clicked on a true crime podcast. So
That's true.
our sources for this episode is an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, Volume 4, Episode 2, Body in the Basement, the Calgary City News article, a Newsweek article, and then there was a Q&A with Detective Dave Sweet, who was one of the main detectives on the case, and that video is on the Unsolved Mysteries Instagram page. So they kind of did a after Netflix released it, he kind of came on and answered like a bunch of viewer questions. So we use that as well. On October 26, 2015, Lee and Tony arrived home from a weekend away to find his wife Amanda dead in their basement. And detectives said it was one of the bloodiest scenes they had ever seen. But what happened to Amanda? So Amanda Hogg was the baby of the family, and she had two older brothers, Alan and Daryl. So Amanda's parents were foster parents, and she came to their home as a baby at 2 months old. She had beautiful blue eyes, and the whole family just fell in love immediately. So Alan was 13 years old, and Daryl was 11 years old at the time. And so they just loved spending time with her and taking care of her. They were like kind of where it's like, oh, it's like our little baby. It's like our baby, like you're that age where you can kind of help take care. You're like, it's mine too.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was 14 months old, the family officially adopted her, and she loved to prank and joke. She loved cats and dogs, and she would bring in any stray she found. She had a kind heart and loved people, and she left home around 20 and met Lee. And so they met through a mutual friend and got married a few years later in 2009. They live together in Castle Ridge, which is in northeast Calgary, which is in Alberta, Canada. Um, People said she would just light up when they were together. They laughed a lot, they had fun. And when they first got together, Lee was a bit more wild and would party a bit more. And Amanda would get frustrated sometimes with like his carefreeness, kind of being like, yeah, it's really fun to be carefree, but we have bills,
Yeah.
like,
We still have
yeah,
responsibilities and
yeah. And she would have to pick up a lot of the slack and like cover the bills because like he kept getting fired. So he would like go get a job and then get fired. And she would kind of have to work extra to like make sure everything was still paid and they could still afford to live. And she was really frustrated like when he didn't have a job. So her brothers liked Lee, but they didn't like 100% trust him just because he was kind of wild at times and didn't always love when he would hurt Amanda. So there was no signs that Lee was like physically abusive, just that like he would make her mad and upset her with like his lack of job. And that's what they didn't like was like seeing Amanda upset because of Lee's actions. So Lee said that Amanda was the love of his life and his better half. He said she was a person who would walk in the room and everyone would smile, and she made everyone feel comfortable. So on October 23rd, 2015, Lee was going to Saskatchewan to help his mother settle his father's estate. And originally, Amanda was supposed to go on the trip, but she did not go because she wasn't feeling well. She had like a very bad migraine, which was common for her. She would get them. And she said it was like pretty bad. So she was like, hey, you go ahead without me. I'm going to stay home because, like, having migraines, you cannot be in a car for long periods of time and
Yeah.
going to be doing some like serious stuff. Like, you're going with a purpose of like settling in a state. Like, that's a big thing. So she's like, you still need to go. I'm just going to stay here. So Lee left around 11 a.m. on Friday, and he talked to Amanda once he got to his mom's house, and she said her head was still hurting pretty bad, and they were in almost constant communication the Friday he left. There was like just pretty constant texts back and forth. And then the last message was at about 7 p.m. on Saturday night, and Lee had also spoken to her on the phone around this time. Lost my spot. And she said the migraine was starting to go away. And Lee heard their dog bark and like yelp, and then the phone call disconnected. So he tried to call back and it went straight to voicemail. And Lee figured like maybe she just dropped her phone, maybe it died. He's like trying not to panic. He texted her a few times that night and into Sunday, and she like didn't respond. So he's like, well, maybe she's busy. Like he's not trying to think like the worst happened. He was like, she'll call me later. Maybe she's with her family. Maybe she laid back down. She's sleeping. Who knows? So on Sunday night, Lee went to bed and was like, I'm going to get up early. I'm going to come home early and surprise her. This like she'll be so excited, to see me. So he left around 8:30 a.m. on Monday, October 26th, and only really stopped to fill up gas. And Lee said the front door was locked when he got home. He walked through the house and didn't see Amanda. And he did let their dog Ruby outside to use the bathroom because he'd noticed that she'd had accidents like in the house. So he's like, oh, gotta let the dog out because clearly she's got to go. So he then went upstairs because she thought maybe she was napping, maybe she's still asleep, but he didn't see her in the bedroom or bathroom. So he decided to check the basement because that's the only place he hadn't looked. And Lee said Amanda really didn't like the basement. Like she had a creepy feeling about it. Like we've all had like a creepy basement before where you're like, I'm not going to go down there if I don't have to.
Yeah.
Um, it's like my parents' house, like at night, I never wanted to go to the basement. It always creeped me out. I'm like, mm-mm, I don't want to go
Yeah.
down there.
Nope. The house we lived at in Richmond, I don't know if you ever saw that basement, but it was very creepy.
I don't think I ever saw it, or maybe I saw like the stairs, but I
Yeah.
don't
Well,
think
the
I ever went down
stairs
there.
to the basement were in our bedroom, first of all, which is like, and it was
Yeah,
just, yeah, it was not,
yeah.
yeah.
So Lee walked down the first four stairs and found Amanda. He came back and called 911, and he said the operator asked him to like go back down and like double check if she was breathing. And he said it was really hard for him to go back down there, and they asked him to touch her, and he said that she was cold. So police officers arrived, and Lee was shaking, visibly upset, and all he would say was like, "She's in the basement." Like that's just kind of anytime someone say something, he would be like, "She's in the basement." So the police officer went towards the stairs and saw a partially broken piggy bank, and then in the basement there was a lot of blood on the floor. Like he could see Amanda on the floor. It seemed that she had a significant head injury, like where her like forehead meets her hairline, like on the right side. And then the officer went back upstairs to meet the other officers so they could kind of clear the house. And they also wanted an officer to stay with the husband because they're like always number one suspect. Not sure of his role. Don't want to leave him alone. And Lee insisted he had nothing to do with Amanda's death, but he was not offended that he was being questioned. He was like, I understand spouse is always the number one suspect, and I want to find out what happened to Amanda. So you do everything you need to do to clear me so we can figure out who did it. He said he left home on that Friday and had gone to Saskatchewan. I did it so good the first time.
You did. I was so proud.
So he explained to them how he left home on Friday and had gone to Saskatchewan to visit his mother, help settle the estate. He said he came back on Monday and found Amanda, told them the whole story. Um, and according to Lee, actually, during the course of their relationship, they rarely spent a night apart from one another. So they kind of always were staying with each other. Like they never really spent time apart. So it is weird. It's like the one weekend he goes away, like this happens. So once they found out the route Lee took to Saskatchewan, they sent two investigators to follow that route and collect video from gas stations he'd mentioned being at. So they did find video of being in Saskatchewan at the time Amanda died, it is possible that Lee could have hired someone to take Amanda's life. That's always a possibility. But there was never any evidence of like contact of such an arrangement. They didn't find any like money being sent somewhere, any sketchy emails, like nothing like that. So they did rule Lee out as a suspect. They're like, we genuinely don't think Lee had anything to do with this. Okay, there we are. I keep losing my spot. Like, there's too many words on this page.
Why? Why, Courtney? Did something happen to you
I
that
had brain surgery, okay? So to this day, Lee does get a lot of criticism for his lack of communication after the dog bark and the phone randomly disconnecting. He says he was just trying to be respectful of her and not jump to worst case scenario. I do like to say too, like, this is 10 years ago, and they were in their 30s at that point. So I feel like that generation was a little bit different with their phones. Like, obviously, this
Yeah.
is huge regret now for him. But at the time, he was like, look, we rarely spent time apart, so I'm trying to not flood her with all these messages and be overbearing, trying to be respectful, and also like you never want to think worst case scenario when something like that
Yeah.
happens.
And I mean, like you said, it is kind of a different time and generation. Like if, I went an entire day without talking to my husband while I was gone, I would be like, something is wrong. But like
Hmm.
it also was only one day, so it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, I was gone for a week and didn't hear from her. Like it was
And she
one
was like
day.
sick, so you're like, well, maybe
Yeah,
she can't look at her phone because her head's hurting so bad.
that's
Or,
true. Yeah.
and so also we have to think not everyone has anxiety like us.
Really? Are you sure? No,
So
wait, are you telling me that when your husband's 10 minutes late, you don't look at his location to make sure that he isn't in a car wreck? You tell me other people don't do that?
okay, not me because I do that, but other people might not do that.
I'm just saying, I don't believe it. They don't
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah, so he does get a lot of criticism, but like I can see both sides, like
Yeah.
it was kind of a different time a bit. I mean, 2015, phones were still very much around, but I feel like for their age group, it was still kind of like
It wasn't
different how they
something,
use the phone.
yeah, it wasn't something they had always been attached to?
Hmm. Yeah. So Amanda was 31 at the time of her death, and she was in full rigor mortis when police found her. So originally they believed she died sometime on Sunday, but they later changed that to more likely around 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, just due to the phone call, like no more like activity on her phone after that. So there was no signs of a robbery or any items missing from the home. There was no signs of like breaking and entering. A chair was found tipped over, and Lee said when he got into the home, he did find Amanda's phone lying on the floor in the dining room, and the phone had been broken and like the screen cracked. And the phone and tipped over chair made it seem like maybe there was some kind of altercation, like maybe someone had come in and like pushed her, she dropped her phone, like it broke when it dropped. Um, and it looked like something very violent had occurred in the basement. I mean, there was blood everywhere. There was blood on the walls, on the floor. Her clothes were covered in blood. She had a lot of bruises, and it looked like she had been beaten. So the police are like, this is a homicide. Like, there's no doubt in our mind, this is a homicide. And they also thought the weapon had been left behind, which was the piggy bank. So the front of this piggy bank had been broken, and many pieces of the broken piggy bank were seen down the stairs. And there was also some pieces in her forehead. So they were like, oh, someone like used this piggy bank to hit her in the head. And another interesting part was that Amanda was partially clothed and her pants had been pulled down like just past her butt. So now they're like, the way they're finding this, they're like, we also think she could be a victim of sexual assault. And then, like, in the process of this sexual assault, was murdered. So that's kind of their working theory right now, just based off of what they're seeing.
So, police believe the assault on Amanda happened around 7 p.m. on Saturday evening, and there was no activity on her phone after that time. So, the forensic unit came into the scene to try to find any fingerprints, footprints, like offender DNA, anything. And in the blood, there were about 12 impressions, but most of them were made by a foot rather than a hand. There were two footprint impressions facing up the stairs, and like the toes were basically like touching the base of the stairs, but then didn't like proceed up the stairs. So kind of interesting. At the base of the stairs, there were also slippers. They did believe that Amanda had been wearing those, and forensics could not find any shoe impressions, only barefoot impressions, which they found kind of odd. There were also some smudges in the blood, like it had kind of been like rubbed back and forth, and there were no obvious defensive wounds, but she was covered in a lot of bruises. They did also find like a blood drip stain pattern in the basement, so they wondered if the attacker had been wounded and like this was their blood kind of dripping down them while they're moving around the house. So if there was an offender, they believed that they had a key or entered through an unlocked back door. So Lee can't remember whether the back door was locked when he got home or not. Like we said, he got home, the dog had had some accidents, so he just, impulsively let the dog out. So he can't really recall with 100% certainty, like if he had unlocked it or if it had already like been unlocked. But also, like when he's coming into the house, he's assuming that his wife is there and fine. Like you wouldn't like
Hmm.
necessarily clue into a door being unlocked like you would if it was like you're walking into an empty house that you had left locked up, you know?
Yeah, like he wasn't coming in with like suspicion in his mind already. He's
Yeah.
like coming in, he's like, "Oh my gosh, like the dog's made a mess. I'm gonna have to clean that up." Like,
Yeah.
here, open the door. Like something he's probably done so many times. It's like
Mm-hmm.
opening the back door, letting the dog out. You're like, I don't even think about it
Exactly.
anymore. Like,
Like I was just thinking, oh, like if I get home from somewhere and like my husband's here and I walk in and let the dogs out, I could not tell you if that door was locked or not. Like it's
yeah.
just such an instinctive thing to do.
Hmm.
But Castle Ridge did have a statistically higher crime rate than other neighborhoods in Calgary. One neighbor said it wasn't a very good area. There were a lot of assaults and attacks. Police were around all the time. There were a lot of break-ins. And in 2015, there was an alley behind their house that both Amanda and Lee had reported people like entering their backyard from. They had been stealing bottles and cans. They would leave the door open and sometimes see footprints. And from that alley, you can get straight to the back door that may have been unlocked. So a neighbor did report on that Saturday night between 6:30 and 7 when Lee heard the dog yelp that Amanda's dog had been barking. They said it was kind of like a like get out of here dog bark, like trying to like warn someone away.
Like more of like an aggressive bark
Yeah.
versus just kind of like a ruff, ruff, ruff.
Yeah. Um,
Exact impression of a dog.
just like that. I'm like, whoo, whoo, whoo. So they said the dog like would occasionally bark, but not to this extent. And I feel like, I mean, like I know like my dog's barks. That sounds like they're like a kid and like the baby's cries. But I feel like if you are familiar with a dog like next door, like
Hmm.
you recognize like, oh, that's their normal bark versus okay, something sounds different over there.
Yeah. I feel like even my neighbor's dogs who like bark way too much, like
Mm,
they're just kind of like barking because they like see somebody. So like I feel like
yeah.
I know their bark. So if it was like different, I think I would be like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wait, what does that
exactly.
mean?
They also then heard a yell coming from Amanda's house, and another neighbor said they saw someone running through another neighbor's yard. And Lee said that, like, for Ruby to bark like that, that something probably was wrong. So police also decided to start looking into Amanda's electronics. So they want to see like maybe was Amanda possibly having an affair and expecting someone to come over. Lee did say that the underwear she was wearing appeared to be like a fancier pair than she normally wore. And obviously at this point they're just kind of grasping at straws, trying to look at any clues that they can possibly look at. But they found no evidence at all of a relationship outside the marriage. Amanda wasn't involved in any drug or gang activity, didn't really have any enemies. Lee did identify someone he thought could be a suspect, and that was his sister. So his sister was battling a drug addiction, and Lee and Amanda had called Child Protective Services on her. Their niece was taken away, and Lee's sister would like call over and over each day asking where her daughter was, and she was very mad at Lee and Amanda. So threats had been made, and it did make Amanda nervous. So could Lee's sister have orchestrated something knowing that Lee was going to be out of town? I mean, it's a logical guess.
Hmm.
Um, Lee's sister was interviewed, but there was no evidence that she was responsible. On December 7th, 2015, the autopsy results came in. Amanda did have cannabis in her system, but it was hard to say exactly how much to know, like, her level of intoxication, like if she would have been affected by it in any kind of way.
Yeah, they said it was almost like with like weed, it's like harder to tell than like alcohol. Like alcohol, you're like
Mm-hmm.
0.08, like you kind of know, but like
Yeah.
with that, it's like you don't really know. And like people have different tolerances and stuff. So they're like, we don't
Yes.
really know, like, was she super, super high or is this just like a normal level for her?
Hmm.
It's hard to tell.
Like I know when you, not that I have personally looked, and I really am meaning that, but when you look into like how long it takes to like pass a drug test, like there's a wild range of time
Hmm.
depending on like your sex, your body composition, like how much marijuana you like normally consume, like all these types of things that, you
Yeah,
know, it
play a
varies so
factor.
much from one person to
Hmm.
another. And Lee did also say that she would try to use cannabis for her migraines, which makes sense if she had a migraine that weekend. There was no trauma to the brain. There were no broken bones besides a broken right orbital bone, and it appears that she just died due to blood loss, which is rough.
Yeah, so rough and like also so wild that like all the detectives were like, this was like the most gruesome scene we've ever like this was clearly like a brutal attack. And then they were
Hmm.
like, there's no broken bones, there's no like blunt force trauma, sharp force
Yeah,
trauma, nothing, like no broken bones, like crazy.
yeah. So the DNA results finally came in, but all the DNA belonged to Amanda. So even the drip marks of the blood that were like along the wall, and there was no evidence in that basement that she had been in contact with any other person. There was also no evidence that she had been sexually assaulted. All of the fingerprints, all of the footprints, everything came back belonging to Amanda. Not a single shred of evidence that anyone else was in that basement besides her. So, behavioral science investigators looked at Amanda's case and said it could be possible that her death was an accident. So, they looked at the piggy bank again, and there was actually no evidence that it had been picked up or moved from the shelf. So, possibly she like fell down the stairs and hit the piggy bank on the way down. So, they brought in experts who thought it would be very rare for someone Amanda's age, but that the injuries were consistent in the literature with an accidental stair fall. So, if this was an accident, like how in the world did that happen? Did she trip over the dog Ruby and fall down the stairs, which I can definitely see happening? Did she lose her balance? But if she fell down the stairs, why was there a laundry basket there that was not disturbed? And also, how did the piggy bank stay on top of the shelf? Just some very interesting things.
Hmm.
Her phone was also 8 to 10 feet away. So that would be interesting if it was due to a fall down the stairs. But some people on Reddit do speculate that a phone without a case can slide very far easily when dropped, which I can definitely see.
I mean, sometimes even when I drop my phone, it's just like zoom, slides across
Yeah,
the floor, so it's like it is very possible.
definitely. So, Linda, Amanda's mother, does not believe Amanda's death was an accident, and Lee doesn't either, based on what he saw and how he found Amanda. He just feels it doesn't really add up. They also thought that Ruby would be by her side the whole time if she was in danger. So, was someone in the house like preventing the dog from going down there? Is that why the dog was freaking out? And why did she not attempt to like go back up the stairs? Because, like we said, like it wasn't a head trauma. Like she died from the blood loss. So like you think it would
Hmm.
take a minute that, why would she not have, which I mean, I guess she could have been unconscious too.
Yeah.
But you would think at some point, like she would have made some movement to try to get back up the stairs. But of course, the loss of blood could also have eliminated any rational thought, or if there was an attacker and she felt safer downstairs versus trying to go back up the stairs. So what happened to Amanda? Did Lee orchestrate someone to like come in and kill her? But how were there no other DNA, fingerprints, footprints, nothing to point to anyone else in that house? And then also remember it was a last minute decision that she did not go on the trip. So she was supposed to be on this trip with Lee and then at the last minute had a migraine, didn't go.
And you
Um,
also would have to think like if he's trying to orchestrate her death, that means from Friday at 11 a.m. to Saturday at 7:30. I think it might take longer to find a
yeah,
hitman than that.
exactly.
Like
Exactly.
that's a lot to orchestrate in a very little amount of time.
Yeah, that's a very short time period when you did not expect her to be home alone at that time.
Hmm.
So was it a break-in? But again, the DNA doesn't make any sense for someone else to be in the house. So was it an accidental falling down the stairs? Like, did she somehow hit her head just so?
Which is so terrifying because I think about that all the time. Like I
Yeah.
always think I'm like what if, because normally I'm a clumsy person, I'm like, what if I fell down the stairs? And that
Yeah.
is just what happened. Like, I think that too. Like, even when I'm working out sometimes and I'm doing
Hmm.
something like overhead with heavy weights, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what if I hit myself in the head? Like, no one's gonna believe Kevin didn't kill me.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where it is like just such a freak accident that you're like,
Hmm.
she just trip, you know, hit her head on the piggy bank,
Yeah.
fall down the stairs, and then was losing so much blood that she just couldn't,
Yeah. Which is
which is
terrifying to think
terrifying.
about. It's
Yeah.
any situation, any scenario in this situation is
Hmm.
terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, what happened to Amanda? Her brother Daryl is hopeful that with the coverage, like this will bring up some new leads or compel some people to come forward. Again, there were a few neighbors who reported some odd things that were going
Hmm.
on. Someone did report like yells coming from the house. I mean, that could have been Amanda, right? Like that could have
Yeah.
been her just like yelling as she's falling down the stairs.
And they've
Um,
like reported seeing people like come into their backyard. So it's not
yeah.
completely unreasonable, but it's just like if there was an attacker, like he didn't go downstairs because,
Hmm.
or she, sorry, not to, assume, but
Yeah.
because there's no other DNA, there's no other fingerprint, no other footprint, like there's no evidence of anyone in that basement but Amanda. So like maybe they did like push her and she fell, but it's like, I don't know.
I mean, do you know, did they say if they like did forensics on the whole house or just the basement? Because like, was it a break-in that they didn't expect her to be there and they pushed her down the stairs and did not intend to kill her and then escaped, you
I
know?
do not remember specifically. I hope with the overturned chair and like their theories of like someone coming in the back door possibly that they did.
Hmm.
I can't say for sure, but I
Yeah.
think the forensic team would have. I think any forensic team would have hopefully done that,
Hmm.
but I just know a lot of like what they saw downstairs was all Amanda.
Which, I mean, if someone had entered the home intending to burglarize it and did not expect her to be there, it's likely they would be wearing gloves if they,
Hmm.
were someone who did this often. So there wouldn't be fingerprints and things on the door. Maybe the door was unlocked, so they literally just opened the door. All the blood was downstairs, so obviously you would expect to find footprints in the blood if they were there. But if they were at the top of the stairs where there was no blood, maybe there wouldn't be anything for a
Yeah,
footprint. You know what I mean? Like if you just walk in and out of a house, you may not always have
have
forensics to
that. Yeah,
indicate that someone was there.
yeah.
Yeah, but Amanda's manner of death remains undetermined. If you do have any information, please submit a tip at calgarycrimestoppers.org or unsolved.com.
Yeah.
And that's just good.
Crazy. Oh, I was just gonna say, I want to know like everyone's thoughts on this because like I think it's so wild, but also like people on Reddit, like some people are like, there is no doubt in my mind Lee did this. Like people are like
Mm.
100% like Lee did this, which I just don't see how.
Yeah.
Personally, like there's proof that he was not in or around. Like
Hmm.
I don't know how he would have done it. I also just don't believe there's any way he could have done it without leaving like DNA behind.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know?
if
Like
it was him, I think it would have had to have been him hiring someone. But again,
yeah.
like, do you just have this person on retainer waiting for the perfect
Yeah.
moment? And also back to how did this person, unless it literally was just a lucky shove down the stairs, I mean, not a, lucky, obviously, you know what I mean, but was it just a shove down the stairs that ended in her death? That's the only way that you could not have someone else's like DNA and footprints
Hmm.
in the basement.
I also think if like you broke in and you panicked and you push someone and you push her and you see her fall, because
Hmm.
clearly she was alive for a while.
Yeah.
Why would you not go down and be like, I have to make sure this person doesn't identify me, or I have to make
Hmm.
sure, like, I feel like that happens a lot. Like, if you are doing a robbery and then you end up like getting caught, like, you're
Hmm.
like, if you then intend to like kill the person, like, you're gonna try to make sure they're dead. Like, you're not
Yeah.
just gonna be like, oh, sorry, hope you're okay, bye.
But I mean, if it was someone like coming in through that alley who's not,
Hmm.
a pro with this, who is just hoping to steal some, expensive stuff or whatever, maybe they did and just they're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, this was not what I was intending. I'm just gonna, and aren't thinking about
They
the
said it
fact
was
that
like a
she
high crime
may,
rate,
yeah.
drugs, a lot of people on drugs. It could have been someone on drugs who just like pushed and was like, whoop, gotta go.
But there were footprints in the blood downstairs, right? That
Yeah,
they
they were
determined to be her
all,
footprints.
yeah,
So that indicates that she had been standing while bleeding, right?
yeah. So I think their theory is that she was losing blood and that she must have been down there because there was like smear marks and drip marks. So she must have
Yeah.
been walking around, you know, and like they had it where like her toes were basically up at the stairs. So maybe she was trying to go back up the stairs, but maybe couldn't due to
Yeah.
the blood loss. But I mean, it seems like she was alive for a while losing blood and
Hmm.
was like up moving around. And I assume that's how she got all the bruises, is her trying to get up and
Yeah.
try to like move around and trying to do something,
Mm.
which is
What
just
a
a horrific death and so
yes.
heartbreaking
Yeah, this is a
and so
horrific case.
scary. It's so scary.
Yeah. Like we said, like we said, every scenario in the situation is
It's horrific.
horrific.
And just that, like, it's just enough to be like, what happened? Like, it's just enough that you're like, I can't say with certainty it was accidental. Or, like, it's
Hmm.
just enough, I can't say it was a homicide. Like, just enough to leave you questioning, like, what happened?
Yeah. All right. Well,
We told you it was sad.
sorry guys. We'll try to end on a hopefully positive note. Courtney, what is your perk of the week?
So, I'm gonna do like a multiple perk of the week because I had brain surgery and you can't tell me shit. And this is my podcast. So, first perk of the week, just thank goodness I am alive and I am
Yeah.
okay. And everything turned out how it did. And I'm getting positive news and that I'm on the road to recovery. Two, my husband, because God bless that man who
Mhm.
did not leave my side. All the nurses were like, "Oh my gosh, your husband's so sweet." Like, oh, da, da. And he's like, "I just got you ice. What are they doing? What are they talking about?" Like, um, just and has taken care of me, no hesitation, no
Hmm.
complaints. I mean, he's jokingly complaining now, but like, you know, just full caregiver mode without even a
Yeah.
second thought. Um, and then finally, my let's be honest, this is my real perk of the week is love on the spectrum. Because I basically described it like those dancing fruit they put on from YouTube for babies that they just like stare at transfixed. That was me with Love on the Spectrum. So a new season dropped, but I had never seen any of it. I was always scared to watch it just because I'm very empathetic and I was like, if I feel like someone's getting made fun of, like I can't
Hmm.
handle it. Like I just can't do it. So I was always really scared. But my coworker was like, girl, no. You have to watch this. This is exactly what you need. It is like
Hmm.
innocent. It is wholesome. It'll have you kicking your feet. I tore through those three seasons. It is so good. It is such an amazing show. It is so sweet. I just loved it. Kevin got addicted to it too. There was like at one point, it was like the latest season finale. There was like, I had paused it for some reason. He was like, I'm going to take a shower. Do not hit play until I get back up here. And he was like, I
This
have
is
to
our
watch this
show
last
now.
17 minutes. Yeah. So, and he was like, I love this so much more than your reality shows. Like, your reality shows are just people yelling at each other, which my post-surgery anxiety couldn't handle. So I
Yeah.
needed something calm. Guys, it's such a good show. It's so good. So good. I know I'm behind. I know I'm so behind, and everyone else is like, duh, we've been telling you this. So, so good. But
I'm glad you found something that was what you needed to
yeah, it was
ease back
exactly what I
into.
needed for like my mental health, like to get me
Hmm.
through that first week. Because I don't
Yeah.
know what I would have done without it. Honestly, that sounds so dramatic, but it's just what I needed.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that is my perks of the week. Jacqueline, what is your perk of the week?
So Courtney got to have her therapy session at the beginning of the podcast, and I'm gonna have mine at the end. But no, my perk of the week is just Courtney and this friendship. And
You bitch.
I haven't even said anything yet.
You said my name and I started to
I said your name and I started to cry.
cry.
But obviously, it's been a rough few weeks for everyone. Some of us more than others, according. But
Hey, I said I had the easy job. Like during surgery, I get to go to sleep.
I know,
I
right?
didn't have to sit and worry.
And I was like, you only get to be anxious for a little bit and then it's done, and we all have to be anxious for hours. But no, my perk of the week is just this friendship that we have that, as we've talked about some over the last couple of weeks, like friendship is not even the right word. Like there is no word. Like when I am like talking to someone like, oh, like my best friend, blah, 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 and we're like, just what an inadequate word. It's like that doesn't even describe,
Doesn't even scratch the surface.
no, no, like it doesn't describe the relationship that we have. And
I'm sorry I scared you.
I just don't know what I would do without you in my life. And even having to have a situation that could put that into a real possibility, I just love you and appreciate you.
Oh,
And this
Jacqueline,
friendship,
I said I wasn't gonna cry on this podcast.
I said I did not make that guarantee.
Oh, I will
But
say it's like I jokingly, said I've been joking to people I had my funeral moment, but I got to live or whatever. But like times like this, like seeing people show up for you and just seeing people show up or not show up, like
yeah,
it shows you like who your friends are. Like it shows
yeah,
you like who you can count on like when shit like this happens and like
yeah.
it has just been like it's warmed my heart like the people showing up like dropping everything and being like what do
Hmm.
you need? Like I will bring it. I'm here. Like I will just sit with you if that's what you need, which is what I've needed a lot lately is just someone to just sit with me so I'm not
Yeah,
in my head spiraling. So
yeah. And like we talked about, like this outpouring of love that you received is because of who you are. It's not, people aren't doing this, oh, out of the kindness of their heart. It's, oh no, Courtney is the person that gives everything to everyone else, and now Courtney needs us, and so now we give everything to her, you know? And
yeah.
that's why people have responded in this immense way that they have.
Yeah. I was kind of talking like with Kevin about that is it's like I was like, oh, like seeing this, it's like maybe I'm doing something right in life. Like
Hmm.
maybe, I always joke like I'm a bleeding heart. Like I'll cut my wrist
Hmm.
for everyone and be like, here, I'll help you, whatever you need. Um, but maybe I'm making an impact on some people's lives. Like maybe like all I do like isn't for nothing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I just love you. You're my soulmate.
I love you. And I
Sorry,
can't wait
Kev.
to edit this tomorrow and cry
Cry
all
a
over
second
again.
time, and then I'll have to listen to it and cry again. And
Just
then once it's released, people are gonna like start messaging us and we're gonna cry again.
just a never-ending cycle. It's
I've just been crying pretty much every day. Let's just be
same.
honest. Just every day. There's a little something that just makes me cry.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know
Man,
what
how
else.
do we
What do
end
we,
this?
yeah. You guys know where to find us, right? Just
You, all the places, all the things. Join Patreon because I'm about to be in medical debt.
helping her out.
Help a girl out. Help a girl pay for CrimeCon because she's in medical debt. Um, but yeah. Also, if your work offers you critical illness insurance for cheap, take it. Do it
Yes, do it.
because it comes in
Can come
clutch.
in handy.
It can come in handy because you never think you're gonna have the worst year of your life, and then sometimes you do.
Yep, yep.
So yeah. Um, yeah, I'll give us 5 stars. If you give me 2 stars, that's just mean to give a woman
Yeah,
with a
don't do
brain
that.
tumor and well, had a brain tumor. Girl who had brain surgery at 2 stars. That'd be so rude.
See, she can't even get her words together. Her brain's still not working.
You're gonna edit this and be like, Courtney didn't even say anything. Like all her words were just jumbled backwards. It's like when you play a record backwards. Everyone has to put it at 3 times speed to understand what I'm saying. Uh, anyway, you know what? Just go have a cup of coffee.
And don't commit a crime or have a brain tumor, please.
Please don't do that.